Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation with David Horowitz, author of The Black Book of the American Left, Volume 3, The Great Betrayal. David, in the wake of 9/11, there seemed to be a new unity on Capitol Hill and throughout the nation, and then the move was made to go after Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction. At first, widespread support, but then a change of heart by those on the left. What happened?
Well, the far left, which is the base of the Democratic Party, was always against the war. But the Democrats authorized the war. They voted for it. Kerry gave an eloquent speech in the Senate on why Saddam had to be removed by any means necessary. And then 3 months into the war, when the young people in our military, whom they had sent into harm's way, were fighting terrorists, the Democrats turned 180 degrees against the war, said that Bush lied, people died, which was a big lie in itself, since the Democrats sat on the intelligence committees and had access to all the intelligence that Bush had. Why did the Democrats turn against the war and attack their own country? They did so because it was a Democratic presidential primary in that spring when we went into Iraq. And an anti-war so-called radical from the 60s, Howard Dean, was running away with the Democratic Party nomination. He was getting 45% of the vote to about 15% for Kerry. That's what caused Kerry to turn. And that's why they accused Bush of lying when he didn't lie. I mean, after all, Bush is the commander-in-chief at the time of our forces. If you read the psychological warfare manuals, they say the first thing you have to do is destroy the moral character of the commander of the other side, which is what the Democrats did. They did the work of the enemy. It was the greatest betrayal of America by a major party in our history, or since the Civil War. And Republicans were silent. They didn't fight back. They let Bush be tarred and feathered. I mean, Al Gore, and this went on for 5 years. And the Democrats were saying, and I'll quote Al Gore, but they were all saying this, that the war was immoral, illegal, and unnecessary. In other words, we're war criminals. When, in memory, did a political party say that their own country were war criminals? And of course, the war was perfectly legal and perfectly necessary, since Saddam Hussein was defying 17 UN resolutions, including an ultimatum, which ended on December 7th, 2002, three months before we went in, and was the reason we went in. You can't let a rogue dictator, somebody who's murdered 300,000 people, thumb his nose at you. You can't give him an ultimatum and then, when he defies you, ignore the fact that he defied you. That's what Obama did with the red line in Syria.
Well, mindful of that, you have written extensively not only this history of the American left, but you write, you beseech conservatives to adopt some of the tactics of the left. So I don't know if you can do this, and it may be unfair to ask this in the 2 minutes that remain, but off the top of your head, Democrats and the left have such a gift of sloganeering. Bush lied, people died. Is there a response slogan given what Mr. Obama has been up to?
Absolutely.
What would you use?
You just use what Al Gore said, Bush betrayed us. The Democrats have betrayed this country, and they've exposed us by creating the power vacuum in the Middle East. They're basically responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths and 18 million refugees during Obama's term in office in the Middle East, and America more vulnerable than ever to terrorist attack. They're destroying the southern border. I mean, Republicans just have to start talking tough and telling it, or to use the phrase from the 60s, telling it like it is. The Democrats are dangerous to Americans.
Well, you have chronicled this in 2 prior volumes, and again now, Volume 3, your new book is The Black Book of the American Left, Volume 3, is entitled The Great Betrayal. And you see that there on our screen. And David Horowitz, for taking time to Skype in from Southern California. What's still early morning out there on this Monday, we thank you very much for your time, sir.
Well, thank you, JD.
And you heard
I wish you were back in Congress throwing bombs.
Well, bless your heart, David. But I'm happy to be right here on Newsmax TV, and you keep it here. What David has to say about a double standard with the left sloganeering, making all sorts of charges, and the right somewhat reticent. Do you agree with him? Why don't you tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, hashtag America's Forum. And America's Forum will continue right here following this timeout.